Okay, I'm ready. Becoming.
Trials and errors make us strong if we learn how to just move on and not give in. When we fall, falling down and getting up, when we will not be stuck in the places where we fall. We must see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials we will see. Becoming who we'll be, it's not that hard if we can see. We've got to keep growing and not get stuck. Becoming you and me, we will become who we will be if we just hold on and not give up. We'll keep becoming. Oh, yeah. When we fall down, we must get up. We cannot get stuck in a rut, for then we'll see it's really not that bad. Many times we find ourselves caught up in all kinds of mess, and that's the plan that we'll give up. Oh, but we must see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials we will see. Becoming who we'll be, it's not that hard if we can see. We've got to keep growing and not get stuck. Becoming you and me, we will become who we will be if we just hold on and not give up. Becoming who we'll be, it's not that hard if we can see. We've got to keep growing and not get stuck. Becoming you and me, we will become who we will be if we just hold on and not give up. We'll keep becoming, oh, becoming. We'll keep becoming, oh, becoming. Not what I used to be, not quite what I will be becoming. I'll keep becoming. Said I'm not what I used to be, not what I used to be, not quite what I will be becoming. I'll keep becoming. I'm not what I used to be, not what I used to be, not quite what I will be becoming. I'll keep becoming. Said I'm not what I used to be, not what I used to be, what I will be, not quite what I will be becoming. I'll keep becoming. I'm not what I used to be, not what I used to be, not quite what I will be becoming. I'll keep becoming. Not what I used to be, not quite what I will be becoming. I'll keep becoming. We must see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials. We will see. We will see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials. We will see. We will see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials. We will see. We'll keep becoming. Yes, you and me will be becoming.
Good, great evening, everyone, and welcome to the Soul Situations Room. I'm your host, the Reverend Shonda Nicole Gladden, as CEO of Good to the Soul, and I'm elated and excited as always to greet you here in this space. There are lots of things that you could be doing tonight, a lot of places where you could be, but you have chosen to spend some time, about an hour, here with me, and I don't take it for granted. So thank you so much for your consistent support of this work and of these conversations. So tonight, I am so excited to be having a very special conversation. When Daddy's Girls Grow Up, conversations with dads of daughters. See, friends, for as long as I can remember, I have always been the apple of my dad's eye. Uh, and anyone who knows me will tell you that my daddy is the best man in the whole wide world to me. I think he's the smartest. I think he's the most handsome. I think that he is the one who can do all of the things that need to be done. My daddy can do it. Well, I'm not the only person around the world who thinks this way about their dads. Apparently, dads have been the number 7 looked up topic in this entire 2020, particularly Black dads in the United States. There's been a survey that has been done from the Institute of Family Studies that looks at and that talks about how dads are so important to what families have going on in their lives, that Black dads matter in particular, that dads of daughters have a very important role to play in the lives of their daughters, that dads who are instrumental in terms of having an active relationship with their daughters, they tend to see daughters who are better at math. That's what the study says. Daughters who tend to be able to be fine with being alone and not being lonely as they grow older. But overall, dad and daughter relationships aren't just really great for daughters, but they're really great for dads. Well, I can't speak for my dad. And so tonight, I'm excited that my dad is going to be able to speak for himself. So to get us into the conversation, though, I put together a little bit of a video here with my team that takes a look at what do dads mean in the lives of their daughters in particular. So grab your dad, grab your daughter, grab all of your children, no matter their gender, and let's get into this very special conversation with dads of daughters. Thanks for joining the Soul Situations Room tonight. We'll be right back. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed that little video. And if you did, sound off in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about down there. Now, you see that my name has changed, but the setting hasn't changed. Right now, I'm going to bring over David Jonathan Gladden, Sr. He's going to get me for saying his whole name, I'm sure. My dad, the one and only David Gladden, Sr. Come on over, Daddy. All right. Oh, thanks, Dad. Okay. All right, friends. So this is my dad. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
And I didn't get your senior up there. You know, we're doing a lot of moving around here, lots of moving pieces here tonight. But we are just so grateful for this opportunity to have this conversation before you. So first things first, Dad, it's the 5th night of Kwanzaa. So Habari Gani.
Habari Gani.
Tonight's principal is Nia.
Nia. Oh, okay.
And so, no, Daddy, I didn't set you up. So I think it's apropos that we're sitting down tonight to talk on this 5th night of Kwanzaa, because with this purpose is what Nia means, purpose, to think about the purpose of a relationship between dads and daughters. So let's talk honestly. If you can remember back this far, what were your thoughts when you learned that you and my mom were going to have a baby together?
Wow, now you're asking me to really think back far here. But the thoughts were all good. And one thing I remember about that time, that was when Stevie Wonder had the hit out, Isn't She Wonderful?
Ah, yes.
And that was my song I used to sing to you in your mother's belly.
Well, I'm sure that's why I love Stevie Wonder now. I mean, that makes sense.
Everybody loves Stevie Wonder.
Listen, everybody loves Stevie Wonder. Everyone has to love Stevie Wonder. If you don't love Stevie Wonder, we have questions about you. So you listen to Stevie Wonder, you had happy feelings. But I'm also curious, did you know that I was going to be a girl child in the belly?
Had no way of knowing.
No, so you didn't do what some parents do with getting that test.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
I can remember when your mother went into labor with you, I can remember speeding downtown, going by police, wondering why they didn't stop us. And I guess that was the route that everyone used to go to that old hospital. I think it was an all women's hospital.
Columbia Hospital for Women.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we went straight there. I remember the doctor telling your mother to eat and come on and take it easy. And she was like, come on, let's go. And I was like, okay, you won't eat again. And she didn't.
Do you remember how many hours it was?
I know it was a long time ago. I'm trying to think between you and your brother. But one of you, I went back home and cut grass.
It wasn't me.
That was your brother.
Sure
that was your brother.
Me.
It was 4th of July weekend. That's right.
Right. So we love to come on holiday weekends, apparently. I was born on Labor Day, Memorial Day weekend. And he was born on the 4th of July weekend.
Correct.
So, it's interesting that you talk about David Jr. Do you approach parenting me and David and even your bonus children, Ebony and Justin and Dwight? Do you approach the way you parent us any differently?
Of course. The girls are special. Of course they are.
Yes. Especially me, right?
Especially you.
Thank you.
Yeah. But the girls are always getting it a lot easier than the boys all the time.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where that's saying daddy's girl,
Yeah.
All you have to do is come with that little whiny voice, and the next thing you know, you have it, They come with their little whiny voice, and I tell them, well, they better find a way to work it out.
And then the thing that we just asked for shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time. Do you ever talk to other men about their experiences of raising daughters?
Of course we do. All men share that. We share that advice and other advice, women advice, period. But daughters, we all know that we're suckers for you, and we just come back and we talk about how, man, my daughter really got this out of me this weekend, and I was not going to give it to her. And the next thing I know, she got that and some more.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
When you come in there, I need such and such and such, and I need to be at so and so time. And I'm not getting up. I'm not going. The whole time putting on your shoes or putting on your boots to go on out the door. Or if she says, well, I don't know how I'm going to get back from such and such. You're looking at your watch, wondering, looking at the door. Okay, well, she need to call me because I'm going down there to find her now. With the boys.
Oh, now don't talk about that one.
The boys, we just let them go. They come back when they come back. But the girls, oh no.
So
it's definitely different. It's definitely different.
I don't know how I feel about that, because that feels like a double standard a little bit.
It most definitely is. In your favor. And I don't remember you complaining about it then. I don't remember you saying, well, Dad, that's not fair because David didn't get this. And I don't remember any of those things.
No.
You took it and ran with it.
I still take it and run with it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, friends, before I get into trouble, because clearly Daddy's going to be Daddy on screen or not, he cares not that this is my show. Okay. So I want to bring out some other dads to see if we can have an in-depth conversation, if you will, around what does it mean to be a dad of daughters right about now. So first, I am going to bring out Mr. Ray Crawford. He is a dad of 4 girls, ages 21 through 36. He's a retired homicide police detective of 24 years, and he is currently a special marshal for DC Superior Courts. He is wonderfully married to his bride of 31 years, and he works with my dad. So, hey, Mr. Ray, are you there?
I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you agree with what I said, Mr. Crawford?
Most definitely. Okay. 4 girls. I had one son that died. He lived for a day and he died back in 98. So I really never had the opportunity to say I had a son. But the 4 girls.
They make up for it.
Oh my gosh. The girls are, like Dave said, we have somewhat of a bleeding heart we want our girls to be treated as queens. And we tend to treat our daughters as queens. Because what's the first thing we call them? Little princesses. Mm-hmm. They can be a little pain in the butts.
Yes.
And you know it. You just be honest. Let's be honest here. But they treat you like as princesses anyway. Let's say for me, my oldest 2, one was in the house, one was an outside child. And the oldest one, actually, I was a single dad for a while.
Oh, wow.
I was a single dad for a while. And with her, she was my buddy. We went everywhere together. Her mom was out there doing whatever she was doing, and I was basically left with a child. And then I found the right one, and we had one, and just how things go. But anyway, you look at your oldest child, and I hate to use the term of a test dummy, but your oldest child is always your test dummy.
I'm the oldest.
Well, you were a test dummy. Sorry. Because we don't make those mistakes again. You're going to make those mistakes. You're going to make those mistakes as being a dad, and you learn from the next child. And with the daughters, you're going to learn, and everyone is different from personalities, and we treat each and every one of them different. I have one. My third daughter, she was a child that wanted to get into everything. And I recall I had made some chili one day. And we were sitting in the kitchen, and she looked at me. I picked her up from school. We're here, and she says, "Daddy, I want to do something." And I said, "I know her. She's devilish." So
you call your daughter devilish?
She was devilish. She was bad.
We're going to deal with that in a minute.
She was bad. I don't care. She was bad. So I said, "Kiara, what is it you want to do?" "You won't let me do anything. I just want to do it." So I said, "Kiara, tell me what you want to do." "Daddy, just let me do it." And I was eating a bowl of chili. I said, "Okay, you can do it." So she decided to put her hand in my bowl of chili. Now, is that not devilish?
I don't know, Kiara. I don't want to speak on behalf of Kiara, but it doesn't sound like the most angelic thing to do. I'll say that. So, friends, I want to bring out one more dad who happens to be one of my friends, Dr. Adam Clark, to see if we can mix up a little bit of the conversation here. Hey, Dr. Adam.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm under pressure here.
Dr. Adam, do you agree with what you've heard so far?
I'm loving these stories. I would say I'm a mischievous daughter too. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
Really let me tell you something. She was not always the angel that you guys see.
This is not in the script. This is not in the script.
So I've been warned on certain things I can say and things that maybe I shouldn't say, but
right.
Look, tell you, she wasn't far from putting her hands in the chili.
Look, over the whole holiday season, my daughter's been an ice cream thief. She's been a pie thief. She's over 12 years old, and she's a kid. And I got to restrain this girl from eating up the whole house. So I get it. It.
Ready to refrigerate at night.
She does it at night more. It's any time of day. It's cold. She's around all the time now.
Well, so before we talk about the things that you all characterize as devilish with your daughters, I'm curious, Dr. Adam, can you introduce yourself and give the people a little background on who you are? How do you come to this space?
Sure. Yeah. My name's Adam Clark. I'm a professor of theology at Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio. And my story is a bit distinctive from the other two voices that you've heard because I'm an adoptive father and my daughter is 12 years old and she just entered the 7th grade. So they parented way past the experience of my daughter. My daughter is not even a teenager yet. So she's like a preteen and she's just getting into kind of a certain self-consciousness. So I'm here to share my story, but I'm also here to learn from the wisdom of those who are a bit farther out than I am. Okay, I hear the voice.
Thank you so much for sharing that piece of your story and your journey. Mm-hmm. I am very much a proponent and excited about you being an adoptive dad because I think adoption is so important, particularly in Black and Brown communities, that we find that there are a number of children that go without adoptive parents, that the foster care system is something that is overrun occasionally with Brown and Black children disproportionately. So I hope someone watching today may think like you, Dr. Adam Clark, I want to add to my family and adoption can be that way. So let's talk a little bit more though about what have you experienced in terms of raising daughters. I heard, Mr. Ray, you have 4 daughters, and Dr. Adam, you just have the 1 daughter?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
And Dad has me and a bonus daughter, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So is there anything about how you work on a day-to-day basis, your professional life, maybe your educational experience that has shaped or colored the way that you parent your daughters?
Well, I can tell you this, and it may sound a little strange, but I read this book. It was called From a Moth to a Flame. I read it, and I had each and every one of my daughters to read the book. And I think they read it by the time they were 16. And it basically, it went to the fact of good girls, good parents hooking up with the bad boys and let them know of how, coming from where I came from, like I said, I'm a retired homicide detective, and coming from that and the girls that I would see out there in the street who was messing with hustlers to come home to see one of my kids, it was like, wait a minute, you need to really know what's going on out in the street, not to hook up with one of these bad guys. So that was one of my biggest fears. So when I had them to read the book, I think it gave them some insight about it. So that was just one of the roughest. But to be a dad and to have one of your girls even go out with somebody and you don't know what that guy is doing, you're on pins and needles until they come home, you know.
Yes, I agree. I agree, Ray. And I always questioned everyone.
Yes.
She was like, "Oh, Daddy, please." But you let them know that, hey, you stepped the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
There will be something to deal with.
Yeah.
I let them know that right off the point. You don't do that.
My daughter's too young to date right now at 12 years old. But
you're in a good spot.
what I focused on is really trying to cultivate her strengths outside of her appearance. So I focused on her intelligence, I focused on her tenacity, her resolve. And I've tried to give her compliments on things that are not look-based or appearance-based in order to grow that kind of, so that she won't be dependent on recognition from a male to feel herself worth.
Yeah. Oh, no question.
And that's what I've really been focused on at this stage. And, it's going to take a few years to see how much that, the world's culture versus what the kind of family culture, what's going to take more weight. But that's what I've been trying to cultivate in her.
And one good thing about what you just said, one good thing about what you just said is once you give that child that family structure,
yes,
that's the most important thing that could ever come about, because they will, my 36-year-old, when she left home at 18, and that was my road dog. She left home at 18 because she found a little boy that she wanted to be with, and they're still together today, and she's 36, but they're still together today. And she came to me one day and she said, well, prior to that, I asked her a question, and she said, Dad, I haven't learned anything from you while I was with you. And I was like, wow, you've learned nothing? In all of these 18 years that you were with me, you learned nothing. My feelings was hurt as a dad. My feelings was hurt. So I said, baby, well, since you've been out there, she's like 19 now, maybe. I said, so tell me what you've learned. She said, Dad, I learned how to catch the bus.
That's an important lesson. I mean.
No, don't sugarcoat that. She didn't always take an important lesson. She had a car to go everywhere she wanted to go with. But to her, at that particular point of her finding her independence, which, our male psychic didn't grasp that. We wouldn't grasp that because we want to make sure our daughters are taken care of. And if, like Dave said earlier, where did you want to go? I'll make sure you get there. What time are you going to get back? I'm going to make sure you get back home.
So I'm curious, and we're gonna bring out one other dad in just a minute. I'm curious because Mr. Ray, I heard you talk about the moth to a flame and the desire to make sure that daughter doesn't date the bad boy. And then I heard Dr. Adam Clark talk about making sure that the daughter doesn't have to depend on the masculine or the male gaze for appreciation. But I'm curious. What if daughter decides that daughter's going to bring home a girlfriend or a wife? How are you feeling about those kinds of things?
You love who you love.
That's it. If she loves you, then that's fine.
Love. Yeah, I can't. If my daughter came here with a girl or whatever, I'm like, okay, you still my daughter. I still love you. It doesn't matter.
Well, I'm going to accept her. If you accept her, I accept her until I see otherwise. If I see otherwise, then that's a whole different thing.
It's the same story, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just like bringing that bad boy home. They're going to catch the same wrath.
I
treat my daughter well and cares about my daughter. Love is love.
I asked my daughter, does she think she's straight, right, at 12 years old? And she said, I think so. And I said, why? Because all the boys seem to like me. Ooh, okay.
That's a 12-year-old answer. That's a good 12-year-old answer.
Yeah.
I guess so. But it's interesting that they even have that because I wouldn't know what to even at 12 years old. I didn't know what non-straight meant, right?
No,
exactly.
This is a different world.
We're exposed to a lot more at a lot younger age now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's really important for dads to have those kinds of conversations with their children assigned female at birth or their children assigned male at birth to talk about gender identity and self-expression and who you feel that you are, so that there's that open line of communication between dads and daughters, or dads and sons, or dads and children. I want to bring another dad up, though, see if we can't color the conversation a little bit more. And I'm going to bring out Reverend Dr. Ivan Douglas Hicks from the Good First Baptist Church of North Indianapolis. Hello, doctor.
Hello, how are you today?
Oh, I can't complain. How about you?
Wonderful. And how are you all? It's wonderful
Hello.
to be inserted into the panel on today.
And she has all this attention from the men, which women and our daughters love. So she's doing just great.
She's doing great.
Yeah, doing great.
Thank you all for having me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if our viewers are all having the same experience, but someone in the audience, you're putting up your questions, and thank you. We are seeing them come through. We're going to start answering some of your questions in just a moment, but here's one in particular. How do daughters enhance fathers' lives? How are men changed by the experience of fatherhood? Anybody want to take that?
Oh, I'll take that one right off the bat.
Okay.
Because the first thing is, now, as a young man, I was out there having my fun and partying. But when my daughter, when you hold your first child, actually, but when you hold your little baby girl, you make sure nothing else is going to happen. So therefore, some of the things that you may have done, you stop doing. Because now you start to think about the consequences for those things that you're doing. And I think that's probably why I ended up in the line of law enforcement, because I was walking such a straight and narrow now, I might as well wear a bag. You know? But there were some times when it was kind of testy out there, and I would have to think about, well, am I going to go on this side of the street or the other side of the street? I don't know. Well, I got to make sure I get that Similac home, and I got to make sure that I work in the morning to pay that. I better go on home and go on that street. So it does have it has a bearing on it, and it still does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to answer the viewer's question?
Well, my particular relationship, I would say my spouse is like the Old Testament who has a million laws, right? And she's all over my daughter. I'm like the New Testament. I have like 3 or 4. Right? Don't cross them. Right. 3 or 4. So I think part of it is the firmness also. It's like we have a playful relationship, but there's just 3 or 4 things that may, if they're crossed, there's consequences to, where the mother has a million laws and you're always going to violate them because you can't follow that. You can't be that disciplined. So she breaks her mother's laws all the time. She breaks mine very rarely.
Right. I agree to that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the like I was getting to when I first spoke. The patsy in us, they can get away with it.
The patsy? What does that even mean?
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Vulnerability, that's what it means.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I know for me, when my daughters did something that I didn't like, for me, because I would go to my wife and say, do you know what she did? You better get her.
Yeah.
Because it's that thing for me of a man putting his hands on a woman. For me,
right.
My wife and my daughters, they could fight all day long, and then my daughters would come to me and say, "Hey, Dad, you know what mommy did?" And I was like, and then I play the role all on them, and so they'd be mad at mom.
That's right. No, I've never spanked my child either. So I do the same thing. It's like I let the mother spank the child. And that's rare too, but It's rare, but the most I've done is one of these, kind of with the wrist. But I would feel bad or horrible and my daughter's very slight. She's very slightly built. She's very small. So part of it's her size, and gender probably plays a role in that as well.
Well, you know, my daughter and I was talking earlier this evening, and Ray was talking with us, and she remembers one time.
Only one.
It only took one. One time.
But the one time, it wasn't even something I did. And I hope that cousin is watching, because you made me. Okay, let me stay focused.
It was that one time.
Well, the Lord has blessed me with 3 daughters. And a bonus daughter. So I have twin daughters that are 22. And I have another daughter that's 12. And then I have a bonus daughter named Essence Asante Jones, who was best friends with my daughters in high school. And after high school, she came here. And I now have her college degree behind this petition in my office because she was here for Christmas. I mean, this is where she comes. And so, so every daughter is different. We talk about this even with twins. I have 2 distinct. They're identical twins, but their personalities are different, and I've cared to deal with them with their different personalities in different ways. With my twins, the 22-year-olds, as they were coming up, Daddy was the best and Mommy was the boss.
Oh, I like that.
So mommy was the disciplinarian. But when the 12-year-old got here, my wife made a conscious decision and gave me instructions that now she was going to switch that around. So with this one, I have to be the boss and she gets to be the best with the baby.
That happened to me also with my 21-year-old.
Yeah. And so that has allowed me even more so to make sure that I'm handling people individually, and I cannot say that I have not had to discipline my children, but I have cared to and been very clear about the communication piece of it.
Yes.
I'm more so concerned in discipline that I tell you to stand up, you stand up, you sit down, and you're following my directions so that I don't have to do that. And so that has been very, very, very different. It's different with each one. I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to discipline is that I create episodes. Right. I create episodes. It's not necessarily me spanking you or discipline. It is the fact that you have disappointed Daddy, and I will do my manipulation. Right. You have now disappointed Daddy, and Daddy will sit there and cry with you and just be upset or create something. Because if you cannot be physical and should not be physical, then at least there ought to be some type of demonstrative, something that you are going to remember about this particular episode that makes you say, I am not going to do this again because I've hurt Daddy, or because Daddy's going to go crazy and hurt himself, or, right. And so all of them are different. And so the creativity of discipline with all of my daughters, even the bonus one, right, which is a totally different thing, right? But nevertheless, I want us to have meaningful conversations, and I want to make sure they're having experiences, not even aside from discipline. That for me is a part of what a daddy is supposed to do, to make sure that you have different experiences. And my brother's about to open up a museum in Nashville, and the African American Music Museum on 5th and Broad Street in Nashville. And I'm going to make sure I take Anya down there so that we can have that experience together. And so from breaks and vacations and weekends, my responsibility has been to make sure that they have episodes. And then there's one thing that always sticks with me. I had an opportunity. Michael Jones, pastor in the city, recently passed away. His father was Sam Jones. We have a Sam Jones Expressway now. He was the president of the Urban League at the time. Michael Jones asked me to preside over at Eastern Star at his father's funeral. And as I was presiding, Mari got up, who's his sister. And Mari got up and said that I appreciate everything that you guys have said about my dad here today. And, you know, in later years, I've learned how great my dad was. But, you know, early on, when people would say all these things that my father does, I would wonder how my father did all these things when I thought he spent all his time with me.
Yeah.
And so that has been for me a role model. That's been instructive for me. So that my hope is that despite the fact that I do wear a lot of hats and have a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do, but at the same time, I want my daughters to feel as if though the requisite attention and time that was needed to nurture them and to grow them was provided by their daddy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm curious, do any of you have any pictures of you and your daughters that you could grab and show, or either put?
I think I do.
You do? Okay.
Well, let me share the screen.
Not you, because I'm right here.
Let me see.
I don't know how to do that. Sorry.
You have one you could just like hold up? Or?
I'd have to pull them out of one phone to another.
Well,
you know, it's one thing that I really found, that people looked at you kind of strange when you would go to a cheerleading competition with your daughters, and you'd be cheering like I don't know what, and it's like, hey, you know, and a lot of people tend to look at you like, what? And I'm like, wait a minute, cheering is a sport. You guys think cheering isn't a sport, but cheering is a sport. And I've
never said I don't think cheering is a sport, because I've seen the cheerleaders.
Guys don't. But I'm gonna tell you, because you're a girl, you cheered, and you know it was a sport. But a lot of guys don't look at it as you know, I'm saying, hey, I'm going to my daughter's cheerleading competition, and they'd be like, huh? I said, you go to your son's football game or basketball game. Mm-hmm. But, you know, and you catch a lot of guys who don't want to participate in those type of events for their daughters. I was at every one.
Aww.
Every one.
So I think, I don't know, Dr. Adam, is this your baby? Is this you and your baby?
That is her. That's a couple of years ago. That's a while ago. But that's...
Well, tell us about her. Let's see. I can get the two of you up there.
Can you see it? I'm not sure if you can see the screen, but yeah, that is we were just, you know, I love this picture because it's indicative of the playful relationship that we have. Like I said, I'm more like New Testament, so I'm more playful, and I'm not as many rules. So we were like, you know, this is I'm trying to remember the specific incident, but to me, it just captures like a significant part of our relationship where we do a lot of practical jokes on each other, and we're always laughing, and we're always, you know, telling stories and playing jokes on each other and making each other laugh. And that to me is what that picture really captures, just a type of deep joy.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely see deep joy. I definitely can see how much fun the two of you must have together. Now, we're almost at the end of our time together, surprisingly. And so there's a few more questions here that are coming through. If either of you also find pictures of your daughters and you that you want to share, even if you want to put it up on the screen, just let me know and we'll get it up there. Oh, do you want to show one more picture? I see you have another picture.
Yeah, that too. Right.
Yeah. So a couple more questions are coming through,
You are in for it.
So how important is the father's presence to the formation of a daughter's identity? Anybody want to tackle that one?
That's a great question.
Well, you know what? When I taught you when you first started driving,
Yes.
I taught you things about like never pulling in to a parking spot.
Space. You have to back in.
Now I can remember she would come in and tell me, Dad, I was out with someone and they pulled in the parking spot, and I told him, my dad told me you'd never do that because if you do and your battery's dead, you can't get to the battery.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys, I think she said, looked at her like, well, wow, that is kind of smart, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what else have your dad taught you? You know, I showed you to change the flat tire.
Oh,
correct?
yes. I have driven to change male friends' flat tires because they didn't know how to do it.
So you can do what you want to do. So don't let just being considered quote female now, because we have to say that. But you know, I think that contributed to her knowing that she can do and go, because sometimes she runs, and if you know my daughter, she's a road runner, and sometimes I'm like, look, sit down, cool your wheels for a second, you know. But I think it shaped her.
No, I agree. I definitely think that having you around, and I think people don't know this, that I didn't grow up in the same household with you all the time. I mean, I lived with you a year or two here or there, but I lived with a bunch of different people, you know, growing up. Like I had we'll get into that at another story.
Yeah, that's another whole
show.
Yes, it is.
Well, you know,
Dad, it was always still around. You know, there was never a time where I didn't think I could pick up the phone and call and say, Dad, this is what's going on and I need this. And you wouldn't be right there. Like even today, I had to run an errand for you to take you to do something. And I had gone out to sit in the car to warm up the car, but I left my purse in the house. And I was like, oh, let me run back out and run back in and grab my purse. And he's like, I have it right here. So my dad like thinks about things even before it needs to be thought about. If it has something to do with me, he's making sure that I'm taking care of it. And I definitely think that has shaped my identity a lot, to answer that question. But here's one more question. And this is for you, Hicks. Does a bonus child stretch your heart differently than your biological child?
That's a good question. I think it stretches it more. I don't necessarily think differently. I think it's the same. It's the same love. And like I said before, that everybody's different. All of them have unique personalities. They are their own individual people. And so the ability on my part to discern the difference and to deal with what they need and to provide for them specifically and independently and special and in a special way. I think that's what's important, that you know, everybody has, you know, in your marriage, they're different, or relationship, they're different love languages that you have. And so, you know, what is the love language that you are going to utilize in speaking with and trying to motivate and inspire, and sometimes even comfort your children? And so it is the same love. It's from the same pool of love, but the way it is expressed is different.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for that. I'm curious because I have a few more questions and we're running out of time. I'm so shocked that we're running out of time. But and this is for all four of you, before we get to the one big question that I ask all of my guests, if you could tell a younger dad raising a daughter one piece of advice, what would you say? What would you encourage that dad to do or to be mindful of?
Listen to your child. Listen to your child. Like you said, everyone's different. when I was talking about earlier, when I said my daughter told me that she didn't learn anything, but she learned how to catch the bus or the subway, one of the two. Later, talking to her as she got older, she's so much like me. She's learned so much. And to be so proud of her for her actually listening to me. But if you listen to your child and give them what they need at an early, like your 12-year-old, you give her what she needs, you won't have any problems at all.
And one thing I'd like to add to that is to let them know, no matter what,
right or wrong,
you can come to me.
Yep.
And you can tell me and you can talk to me.
Yep.
If they know that, they'll never hide anything from you. They'll always feel, I know I'm wrong. I'm 100% wrong, but I can go tell my dad.
I can tell him, talk to him.
I can tell him. He's going to listen to me. He may get on me, but he's still going to listen to me, and he's still going to be on my dad. That's basically it.
Yeah.
I like both of those. I would just add, especially if it's a female child, girls are encouraged to be nice, but I think a dad needs to make a girl strong as well, right? Mm-hmm. The capacity to say no, the capacity to erect boundaries, right? So I would just say, raise a strong child, not just a nice child, but a strong child.
Yes.
Right. So I heard Ray say, listen, and so I would make it broader to communication.
Oh yeah.
Right. That yes, I'm listening, but I also care to provide guidance and direction.
Oh, definitely.
That Dr. Clark talked about as well. To combine the two, that it's that time spent, right? Mm-hmm. So that while we're creating the experiences, then we're also having the necessary conversations. We're communicating. I'm listening to you, and I'm engaging you intellectually, right?
Oh, definitely.
You know, especially with this 12-year-old boy. Dr. soon to be Dr. Gladden has met.
We all have 12-year-old children.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Can I ask the question?
Sure.
How many of you guys have had the opportunity to talk to your daughters about them becoming women when they first come with that first menstrual cycle? This is pretty deep. Things that we as dads don't understand, and we as dads again don't understand their attitude or mood change,
right?
Which causes us as dads of not looking at them as our little girls anymore. That it's like, it's a little touchy. But that's something I think is very important for dads to understand, that they're now becoming women, and that mood change. With 4 girls, I had 1 week peace in my house. I don't know about you guys. But you did, Dr. Hicks, with the 3 that you had. You probably had 1 week of peace also.
He still has a wife.
No, well, you can deal with that wife, and then you have to deal with her.
Right.
You know, that's not what I see.
Right. So you know what? The exact conversation, no. But I have certainly experienced the mood swings and have had to adapt, and modify my behavior.
Yes.
Based upon that. And so these are my 3. I was looking for, there is a picture that I have with the bonus daughter. It was a couple Thanksgivings ago. We were down in Georgia, and the whole family was there, and they were all there with my wife. I could not find that, but the youngest is Anya there, and those are my twin daughters. Austin's in the back, and Ashley's on the side. All of them. Is it supposed to be synchronized or something? Well, not necessarily always, right? But my twins, they were cool. They were easygoing, laid back, and did not express the emotions and the strong will and character that my 12-year-old does. And so, I find myself having very interesting conversations with my 12-year-old that I never had with my other two. But the ability to recognize what's going on and to govern my thoughts and my tongue and my reactions. I have to remind myself that I am mature, that I am an adult, and that I can govern myself, and I don't have to have my buttons pushed by a 12-year-old.
All right. So we are almost at the end of our night. And if you've ever paid attention to my Soul Situations show, you know that every guest, I ask this same one question. And that is, how do you define flourishing? As you think about being a dad, as you think about your experience with your daughters, how would you define flourishing? What does flourishing mean to you? Who wants to take it?
As a person, flourishing, as it relates to my daughters, it taught me I flourish in patience. Was one of my major attributes, I would have to say, because I had to learn because I'm the youngest in my family, and having those girls taught me that I need to get away from some of my selfishness as being the youngest kid, because everything was like thrown upon me, and that's one of the biggest things I can say. I flourished in patience.
All right. Anyone else? How do you define flourishing?
I think I would define flourishing as, especially in this particular instance, as self-definition and self-development, right? Like teaching Layla to define herself in the highest terms of the highest standards, and also developing ourselves and being around other people that develop her, right? So flourishing is I see it as a kind of evolving category of trying to maximize your highest potential, right? So any efforts to maximize your highest potential, your calling, right? Mm-hmm. I would say is about flourishing.
Daddy, what'd you say?
That was what I was going to say.
That's what you were going to say.
That's what I was going to say.
You can't take his answer.
Well, he took my answer. Because, I think about my daughter and all she's experienced, and she touched upon it a little earlier, that she was in a lot of different families and she picked up different things, but I always wanted to motivate her to go and do these things. She's experienced trips abroad and just different cultures, even living in New York when she lived with my mom in New York some. She experienced a lot of cultural things that the normal kid in this area inside the Beltway would never, ever experience. Some kids don't even experience Northeast to Southeast. She's gone to France. She's gone to the Orient. She's really experienced. So sometimes, I would have to say, her mother said, we need to make this happen or something. And I'm, like Ray was saying, being selfish at first, but then I learned, hey, but look how well she speaks and how proud I am of her. So, to anytime she wants to do something, except use my new car a lot. But she had that today too. You're going to learn about that, Mr. Clark.
Okay. All right.
So that, and as you were saying that, I said, now that's exactly what I was getting ready to say, just the development, and watch her grow. Mm. And I heard something the other day, and I don't remember exactly where, but they was talking about reaching the top, and then they were saying something about, they was talking about an insect or something crawling up a wall or something, and it was saying, does this insect know that there's a top to it, or do they just keep crawling because they can? So if we don't put tops or limits on anything, you just keep going. You never stop. You don't limit yourself to say, I'm going to get to the top. There's never a top. You keep pressing on. And that's what I like about her. She just amazes me at how many things she amazes me that she got me to sit down and do this show.
I am amazed that you sat down to do the show.
But I drag my partner in crime with me, So.
That is true.
Yeah. I'm gonna let that go, but that's what I say. She just watch her keep getting higher and higher, because I don't. I had a friend of mine, and we watched one of her sermons that she gave when she was here, and when it was done, and I was so proud because me and my buddy was sitting over at my house, and I was a single bachelor then, and we was running and riding motorcycles. So when he finished watching, he said, "That's your daughter? Talking like that?" He said, "I got to go look some of these words up if I can remember how to spell them." And I said, "Well, hey, she didn't get that far from me, but yeah, that's my daughter." So proud. So
Wow.
Amen.
Well, friends, we normally try to only be on for an hour, and we are literally 1 minute over time. I've never gone over time, but we have 4 remarkable dads, 4 remarkable Black dads, 4 remarkable men, and who would cut this conversation off? But unfortunately, we have to get ready to get to the clubhouse, because at 9:30, going to be having this continued conversation in the clubhouse. So if you're in the clubhouse, come meet us, come meet me. Let's talk about what's the role of dads in the life of a daughter. We will be there at 9:30, but this is it. So any closing thoughts? You each have less than 30 seconds.
I don't think Dr. Hicks got a chance to go.
Yeah, that Dr. Hicks can have my 30 seconds.
Flourishing. It's our responsibility to create the environment. It's our responsibility to nurture and to push and propel our daughters, our children towards success or toward fulfillment, which is certainly more important than success. That you might be fulfilled in life. Let's have those conversations. Let's continue to be expressive. Let's create episodes if we need to, but let's create experiences, and let's make sure our daughters know that they are loved and that they're supported in all they do.
Thumbs up on that.
Amen.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it. What do you think, Dad? Okay, see, I have to get permission now because he's sitting right here. No, in all sincerity, though, thank you all so much for being part of this conversation. You didn't have to say yes, but you did, and I am so, so grateful. So I'm going to send the brethren back to the green room. I'll see you in a minute to debrief, but thanks so much for being here. But Daddy,
I step aside.
You don't have to step aside. We're going to say bye to the people together. So, okay. Friends, we hope you have enjoyed tonight. It will be a very interesting night tomorrow night. I don't know if it'll be... Daddy, I'm trying to close the show. So tomorrow night, the last night of the year, we'll be having a conversation, not with my dad, but with my mom. And my grandmother may decide that she wants to jump into the video as well. So y'all pray my strength. Tomorrow night, we'll be talking about Inside Out Loving You, 8:15 p.m. for the last night of the year. I know some of you will be doing watch night before and after. Sneak us in if you can or catch the replay. But no matter what you do, make sure that you keep on being good to the soul. We will see you next time. Take care and God bless.
Goodbye.